Have you ever experienced bends in the road? You say to yourself, gee, I thought my life was going to go straight away, and all of a sudden you find life happens and different things in life go on that cause your life to be something other than what you originally intended. Well, I have a great subject for today's interview. It's Gary Kraut, friend of my husband's from prep school. We are right now in his family's home that dates back to before the Revolutionary War. Can you imagine that? So, Gary Kraut is currently the author of 5 travel guides on France and Paris, including, I love this, Paris Revisited, the guide for the returned traveler. Gary also has a magazine online for savvy readers and experienced travelers by what, the same name?
France Revisited.
France Revisited, okay. Now Gary, you would think he's just an author. I called him the other night a cultural facilitator and a travel therapist. But to start with this, Gary, you went to high school with my husband. You're here in Central Jersey. How did you end up living and writing in Paris?
Well, it definitely wasn't through planning. It came about in part because I had been working as a journalist in Westchester County, north of New York City. And I had the opportunity to visit my sister in Paris, who was sent there for her job. She had a big apartment paid for mostly by the company. And I went to visit, and I was the visitor who never left. She left, I stayed, and I was in the right place at the right time to get a guidebook contract and to write about France.
Now you had a couple of other unexpected things along the way. So you get your guidebook, and then something happened with the publisher, and you...
So I did 2 books with one publisher, another book with another publisher. That publisher ended up losing interest in Europe and wanted to work with Asia. So I found myself without a contract. I sold one other Paris book, and then I decided to strike out on my own and just create what I thought would be the best possible guidebook about Paris. And I came up with Paris Revisited. And since I didn't want to write something very basic, I had been writing about France for at least 10 years by then, I decided to make it for the return traveler, meaning for someone who knows France a bit, and I don't have to repeat all the basic information. I can go more in depth.
You know, one of the things that hit me the other night we were talking, Gary, is that you said for a while you were writing for photos guides.
I was not writing. Photos asked me to write for them.
And you had a decision to make, didn't you?
And I had a decision to make, right. Did I want to become a photos writer, which is fine, but it was not the kind of creative travel writing that I wanted to do. Or I could, well, I didn't know what else I could do. I was actually without a contract for a while, and that's when I decided to strike out on my own and do my own, because I found that I was complaining about everyone else's work, and in part maybe because I was frustrated that I didn't have a publisher. So I thought, well, what if I publish myself and do what I think is the best work possible?
And as it turns out, Gary, from what I heard about you, it's not just that you're writing books, but you also take people on tours, don't you?
I do. I love taking people out on tours.
Give me the best tour that you've ever done because you had the most fun in.
I don't know if me having fun is the best way to look at it. What the best tours for me are when I see someone and the light bulb goes off and I feel that they've really found some personal connection with whatever the destination is, Paris or Normandy or Burgundy or Champagne, wherever I'm taking them. And for me, that's the real important thing about travel, is for people to have a personal connection, to find a personal connection. Of course, seeing something like the Eiffel Tower is wonderful, or the Mona Lisa. Everyone wants to see the Mona Lisa. But finding a place where you have a personal connection. I was once with a traveler who loved to go to laundromats, and we were in Normandy visiting World War II sites and D-Day beaches. And he loved it, it was fascinating for him, but he had to go to a laundromat because for him that's a real cultural experience when he goes abroad. And I respect that. I love to have, I don't always know what people want. I can only, as you say, I'm the cultural facilitator. I get them to the right place and they have to find what it is.
But you also enjoy that part of it, that element of it, because it's almost like you enjoy the fact that they're discovering something new and you made it happen.
Yeah, yes, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to walk around holding up an umbrella and saying, listen to everything I say. I want to try to figure out what the person is interested in, get them to that place, introduce them to people. I don't want to be the only person they see abroad. Often when people travel, they don't have contact with real people doing real things overseas other than the people in the service industry. And so to get them in contact with the real movers and shakers, or whoever it is, it can be someone cleaning the streets, it can be the head of a big company, but to get them in contact with someone who can talk about what it's like to live in that country, in that place.
I know what the difference is. There are people that like to go to Paris on a postcard, and there's something about you, and this is probably the part that's outside the box and probably along the bend in the road. You like going beyond the top of the postcard and really delving into what it is that brings the Paris or the France experience alive for people, all right?
Definitely. The Paris postcard is beautiful. I can understand that people want to go there and they want to see what are called the top 10 sites. You just have to remember the top 10 sites were decided by someone just on some general idea. They're not personal sites to you. So I can understand that people want to see them. But as I try to explain, give examples on my website, francerevisited.com, I try to get them to really go beyond that and try to see there are interesting things everywhere. As you say, there are bends in the river, there are bends in the road, and try to get them to the point where they want to look beyond it and find something that maybe I don't even know about after writing about France for 20 years. Go ahead and find things. I don't like it when people say, oh, I have to go someplace because my neighbor told me to go there. I can understand wanting to go there because you like your neighbor, but go find your own places. And so I try to, as a guide, bring them to what I think might be interesting, but then they have to pass through the door or go around the bend to get there themselves.
That's why it's so funny. I think your title words, Paris Revisited or France Revisited. People may go the first time and they may see the things that are on the postcard, but you desire to take them even beyond that point and to get to see it again through yet another set of eyes and hopefully enrich their own life in the process. So since we're talking about bends in the road, Gary, what would you like to say about your next bend in the road? What do you plan on doing to make your next bend something that's important to you and meaningful? What are you doing next? Your career, your life, your interests, what?
Well, since it's a bend in the road, I don't exactly know what's around the corner. So I'm trying to develop more France Revisited, begin working on some ebooks, come out with another paper book as well, and develop really unique, personalized tours throughout France. I do a lot of Paris work, but I really love to get people out in places that they don't even read about in magazines because they're not that well known. And it's developing, I think, the idea of travel as a creative act and a personal act. That's what I want to keep developing.
That's very good. I love personal stories. I love to hear how people follow what they love and in the process end up creating their own unique brand and getting a lot out of life. So I hope today your bend in the road may not be Paris, it may not be France, but somewhere along the line you've had different bends in the road. May you find those kinds of things that help you enjoy, get more out of life, and even in the process of doing it, end up enriching the lives of others around you. So Gary, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you,
I hope
Maura.
at the end of this we will let people know where to find you.
And we have to kiss on the cheeks.
All right.
That's what we do.
Something new, not on the postcard. This has been Maura with Maura4u. Bye-bye.